Um, I'm so honored to have as my guest today and welcome Dyan Fox. And before I let her introduce herself, I just want to say that that is one of the most inspirational entrepreneurs that I have met and that I have had the pleasure of working with one-on-one. So when I was thinking about this interview series and who to have as guest, she was the first person to pop into my head. So I'm so excited that she said yes to this interview and that she's ready to let us into her mind sort of and tell us more about, how this awesome business that she has came to be and how that journey has been like for her. So tell us a little bit about, what you do, what your business is about, and all that jazz.
Okay. Well, like you said, my name's Dyan. I guess around last winter, I started my company called Small but Mighty Books. And I did it without ever having thought that I would do it before because it came about from personal experiences that we had. First of all, I guess I should say that so Small but Mighty Books will or does publish books for kids who have medical conditions, serious medical conditions that put them in the hospital or require a lot of doctor's visits and things like that. And I did it after my daughter went through cancer diagnosis and was diagnosed with a disorder called neurofibromatosis. And I did it mainly because watching her go to the hospital and do all the procedures that she had to do and seeing all the fear that came about from everything, I didn't know how to help her cope. And I was like, well, we should make up stories. And then after I thought about it and came up with the stories to help her with her cancer diagnosis and all the things she did with that, I realized that other kids could benefit from it too.
Yeah.
So that's where the idea came to write my first book, which just got published a couple weeks ago. And then I have all these different ideas now that I'll carry forward into the future.
Yeah. So Amazing Annabelle, your first book was published just recently, which I'm so happy about. That sort of this idea that you had over a year ago is now actually a real thing in real life that's, is going to help these kids who are going through something that we never want to see our kids go through. And I think it's also like such a great resource for the parents because, like you said, we are so helpless when it comes to our kids getting sick or you're never prepared for that. And as a parent, that's why I was so inspired by what you do, is that just imagining going through something like this, I would be so grateful to have that resource to help me cope as well as my child cope.
Yeah.
So when you look back at the beginning, what would you say was the biggest fear or limiting belief or doubt that you had in your mind that you had to overcome to really start this idea or take this idea from just an idea into a real business?
I was just going to say that when I actually had the idea, which came when we were going through this hell that we went through, there was no doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to do it. I decided, I've been a writer all my life, so I know the whole process that you go through to get a book published, and I knew I wasn't going to do the typical try to find an agent, try to find a publisher thing because no one was going to tell me I wasn't going to do it. So I decided to self-publish. So going through the whole time of coming up with the story and finding an illustrator, I was like a crazy woman on a mission. Nothing was going to stop me. I didn't take no for an answer. I just kept going if something didn't work my way. But when all that was done and I was getting ready to publish the book or trying to start selling the book, that's when all the hardship came, all the fear and doubt that I was feeling came. So probably my biggest thing was coming to terms with the fact that I had to sell my book to people who went through the same thing that I did. Because I felt really strongly that I knew I was going to help them, but I was worried about selling to them because I felt like a shyster, like I'm trying to take their money, even though I was doing it to help them. That was probably the biggest thing I had to get over.
What helped you get over that? Because I know that so many people, even if their business is more straightforward, more of a service that catered to another business or whatever, they still struggle with pricing. They still struggle with selling, because we do feel like, are we giving enough value? Are we really, we feel responsible for taking people's money. So we get that sort of conflict in our heads, especially if we are a person that really loves to give. Mm-hmm. And if the project itself came from that idea of giving back or helping someone. Mm-hmm. So what helped you through that?
I had a really good business coach, you namely, that talked me through all of my tiers, and it took me weeks to write my sales page, and it was just so difficult for me to do. I had to like pull it out of myself, and I think I just honestly don't know what the click was. I just think I realized that I just had to concentrate on the fact that I was helping these people and that I was doing it out of love, and I cared about them and their kids, and that's what I focused on trying to tell them. Mm-hmm. And I think naturally I just started to like embrace it after that, like, okay, this is good. And now, even after it's maybe been 4 or 5 months, I still mostly feel that way, even though I'm still like a little bit doubtful and fearful again, about what I'm doing. But it definitely lasted. I just had to get to that point.
Yeah, I think that is key, sort of, to realize that we are doing this out of, like you said, out of love, out of caring. Mm-hmm. But we do have to keep ourselves afloat as well. We can't just do charity. If we have a business that then we have expenses, we need to pay ourselves to be able to give even more. So there's mm-hmm. that aspect as well. Mm-hmm. So how have you dealt with setbacks in your business? Because I know you've had some, and we all have them. So what has helped you cope and just keep on going?
I guess really mostly the setbacks that I feel like I've had to deal with have all been like personal, like the things that are going on with, my daughter and her health, or like in my family, and things that take my time away from my business. It's like, I can't get away from them. So it's like, I've just learned to kind of take it easy on myself. Like, okay, I don't have time to do this. It's going to take me 3 weeks to do this one thing that could have taken me 2 hours. It's like, I have to realize that I can't get by it. It's going to happen. So I don't know how I've been able to do that. It's just, I guess I've come to understanding that I just have to, that I don't have a choice, so. Yeah. I guess also, my other biggest setback, which was when I tried to do the Kickstarter for the book, and that was, mm-hmm. I guess I'm trying to block that out of my head. So I did a Kickstarter for the book to try to raise the money to pay an illustrator, and that failed. And that was, I knew before even the Kickstarter ended that it wasn't going to go through. But when that day came and it was like, funding unsuccessful, that was a huge blow, because, like I said, up to that point, I was not going to take no for an answer. This was going to happen. This book was going to get made somehow. Luckily I had a lot of people who cared about me and stuck behind me and even gave me donations. And then of course I had you, and you were like, maybe you should get donations from people instead of doing a Kickstarter. So I think I lucked out on having people behind me that could kind of raise me back up and push me forward.
Would you say that also that you had such a strong why behind your business that really helped you, at least push through the doubt and fear and keep going?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like if I had just had an idea one morning I should write books for sick kids, and I've never had, my daughter didn't have any health problems, and I think I probably would have let it go. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I'll never let go. It's just like, it just can't happen fast enough now, but yeah, so definitely the personal why behind it is for sure.
Yeah. I'm actually so grateful that you did bring up the Kickstarter, because I feel like that's a really concrete example of like, people do have setbacks. you can have the most amazing idea, right? Like your business, like it's hard to even understand why wouldn't people back that up, but it is about like, so perhaps, the right people didn't find it, right? Or it is all about sort of like, there are hundreds of, like, thousands probably of Kickstarter campaigns going on at the same time, constantly, right? So it's not only about having this great idea, it's also about marketing, making sure people know about it, people get behind the message, showcasing it, all of that. So while we're at that subject, what would you say are the biggest lessons that you learned in the past year, not only from your Kickstarter, but overall from this whole process?
Probably the first one is that, not necessarily that you don't need to get support from the people you're trying to sell from at first. Like, just for like the book, being able to fund the book, mostly came from people that I know. It did come from other people that I didn't know as well, but that it's okay to maybe get resources from somewhere that you weren't initially thinking you would get them from. So maybe being a little bit more creative on how you're going to get money for yourself or to get this idea started or your business started. I'd say also that it takes more than just having an idea. You have to really, you got to be strong. You've got to be like, this, I'm not going to stop until it's done. You have to, I guess, persevere.
Yeah, for sure. If you had to start all over, like totally from scratch, right? What advice would you give yourself?
Not, I feel like I would say, maybe don't do the Kickstarter, but, because when I did it, I had no followers, no supporters. I don't know how I thought I was actually going to do it. I just thought it was going to be like magically everyone would see it and be like, and it would all happen in a couple days. So, but in a way, and I've talked to you about this, that had to happen for everything else to happen. Like after the Kickstarter wasn't funded, I got a lot more support and I got a lot more creative on how to reach out to people. And so I would just say maybe take it easier on yourself. This isn't the only thing that can happen as far as the Kickstarter. Like you can come up with other things and you're smart and you can do it and people are going to care. You just have to find them.
Yeah. And so my last cue, which is sort of related to what you said here as well, is like, what has helped you the most to bring this idea into life, would you say?
Like I said before, having it be a very personal thing, that every day I live through these things and it just kind of reinforces to me the need for these different kind of books that hardly anyone ever writes or publishes. Like the big publishing houses don't ever do books for kids. You have to go to the hospital or you have serious illnesses. So having that be like I have daily reminders every day. My daughter is deathly afraid of, even if I talk about going to the doctor, she's deathly afraid of it. And it has 100 questions about who she's going to see. And, so I have that daily reinforcement and, and I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, having that why is so powerful for you, definitely, to have that personal why. So tell us how, if people are listening or watching this and they're thinking, oh, I want to support this business somehow, or I know someone, or I am someone who needs this book. So where can they find it? How can they get involved?
The book, Amazing Annabelle, which is a story for kids who are going through cancer diagnosis or treatment, is available on my website, which is small.mightybooks.com. And it's also available on Amazon. And you can order it, however you do your Amazon order, you can do Prime or whatever. So it's available at those two places. And it's the same price at both places. But if you don't have Prime, then you could actually save on shipping if you go through my website.
Yeah, and also you have a gifting option, which I want to point out as well.
I do, yeah. So a lot of people don't know or don't have children who are going through cancer diagnosis or treatment. So I actually have a gift to copy program. So you pay the same amount for a book, but instead of you actually getting the book, I donate it to a child that's going through diagnosis or treatment. And I do that through a partner that I have, a charity called Send a Smile Today.
Yeah, so definitely if you're inspired by what Dyan is doing, and you want to get behind, or you want to support a child that does need this book and could really benefit from having it, so then gift a copy, or tell your friends, share the link to Dyan's page and so on, because I think we all need a little more support around our business. As you said, that's one of the most important things, is having people to back you up. And I think we can all collectively also do that for each other. Thank you so much for taking this time today to talk to me and to share, all of that has gone on in behind the scenes of your business, not only in front and not only the pretty picture that we paint online maybe, but really sharing what it takes to get this idea from an idea to a reality.
Thank you very much.